For joining us for our photographic journey in KwaZulu-Natal with the Wild Tomorrow Fund. My name is Charles Chessler, and I am a photographer. Most of you know me. And I am thrilled to be an ambassador for Wild Tomorrow Fund. I have on my card, my business card, passion, purpose, and shared humanity. And working with Wild Tomorrow Fund ticks all of those check boxes. I'm going to introduce you. Well, first of all, our mission tonight is I want you to get an overview of everything about Wild Tomorrow Fund. We're going to take you through rhino dehornings. You're going to meet some of the beautiful kids in a couple of the schools that they support. You're going to meet their rangers, a group called the Green Mambas, and see some wildlife and some beautiful birds. Our mission for tonight, if you so choose, is to try to raise for the community $3,600 so that we can provide a daily lunch for 70 students for 1 year, all the students in the 2 schools that they help support. Let me introduce John and Wendy, who are the co-founders of Wild Tomorrow Fund. They're going to tell you a little bit about their mission, a little bit more, and share a video. And then we're going to go back and we're going to show show photos, and we'll take questions, and we're going to keep this casual and fun. So John and Wendy, to you.
Thank you, Charles.
Hi, Charles. Great
Hi.
to be here. So nice that you are stepping up to this amazing challenge to feed 70 children daily school lunches for an entire year. So thank you so much for being an amazing ambassador for Wild Tomorrow Fund, an amazing friend, and an amazing person. Big heart.
So my name is John Steward, and I'm the Executive Director of Wild Tomorrow Fund.
And I'm Wendy Hapgood, co-founder of Wild Tomorrow Fund.
So some of you may not be familiar with us. We are a non-profit. We're a conservation non-profit working to save wildlife and wild places in Southern Africa. And there are many aspects to the work we do to fulfill that mission. And you're going to learn about some of those tonight. But it's all surrounded by this need to protect wild spaces for the future of wildlife. And we have a very short video, I promise it is very short, that explains a little bit about why we do what we do.
Here it is. So that's why we do what we do in a nutshell. We're really fighting back on behalf of everyone who loves wildlife and biodiversity to save wildlife and their wild places. And Charles has been along with us for that journey.
My internet just went in and out, so that might happen a little bit. Good vibes, Jennifer Wild.
We're here for you.
Jennifer.
whatever you just said, you know, I missed, but it's such an important part of my life, you guys and Wild Tomorrow Fund. So, yeah. Did you? So have you given your whole blurb? Should I?
Yeah,
we did.
take
it
away.
Okay. So, and I can't remember if I said it at the opening. And the thing is Wild Tomorrow Fund is saving habitat, preserving habitat, saving wildlife, and helping the local community. And they all, I think what we'll talk about is it all ties together. It's very important to make this difference happen. So I'm going to start with one of the main reason we're here tonight, and I'm going to start sharing some of the beautiful faces of the children. We're going to start with one school, we'll end with one school, and we'll do wildlife and rhinos and everything like that all in between. I will share, and please throw out, I will not be seeing anything except my share screen because I'm technologically a little bit challenged. So please shout out if you want me to stop sharing, or if there are any questions. I'm happy to talk as we go. Is everybody seeing that silly photo of me?
We can see you with a very funny face.
Cool, cool, cool.
Charles.
So the reason I'm showing this was, number one, I was ecstatic, and this was for the photographers out there. We were going to photograph the students at this school, and we were bringing a selfie SELPHY printer that John and Wendy, who's a genius, decided to get, and we were going to be taking photos and printing them there for the kids who had never had a hard copy photo of themselves. So I wanted to be as prepared as can be. So what you see in the camera right hand is a little travel light stand. Over my shoulder is a little Westcott softbox, and in the bag is my camera and a flash. And hanging off of it is a reflector. As we drove up, though, I quickly became aware that I wouldn't need any of it because the light was just stunning. So this is Izzy, who was on this volunteer trip in April. And these kids are just hungry for connection, and they're beautiful and authentic. And if you go at some point, you will meet them and it'll take your breath away. Yeah, I was kind of in heaven, and I was, as I often get, a little bit teary. I was a little afraid because John came in behind there, but but it was a great time. But these kids are just so genuine and sweet, and they need our help. And so here's, I'll show a photo later of what the light was looking like. And these photos, I haven't retouched them. Some photographers might find them a little bit oversaturated or contrasty. These are straight out of the camera, and we took them, and we had a system going where I would hand my memory card off to somebody, and that would go into a room, and it would get printed, and I would do 5 or 6 kids at a time. And basically, we took 5 or 6 clicks. I tried my best to get them to connect. You're going to see here a couple of the beautiful faces of the caregivers who, without them, you know, well, we're all lost with that, right?
And Charles, I can say the new creche that Wild Tomorrow Fund actually built, the carers, the teachers were all volunteers and totally unpaid. So we're really proud to actually support them with a stipend every month, and that's part of the support that we give to these are daycare centers for little kids.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It all matters. And in the second school, that second creche, I think I have photos of the schoolhouse, which you built a new one for that one. But these faces are just, you know, take your breath away. These kids are adorable. I'm going to run through, and I'll pause if somebody wants me to pause. I want to share all the faces, and it may be a little image heavy. But
it's beautiful, very beautiful. And you know, this is a very rural part of South Africa. It's KwaZulu-Natal. It's a province of South Africa in the northeast. And in South Africa, you know, you can imagine Johannesburg's quite developed, but the rural areas are not as developed, and poverty is real. And COVID drove it deeper. So that's you know, hard for the kids, and that's why we're raising money for the school lunches. So what happens is, if you're a child from a very poor family, at least you get, and I'm sure it's the same in the US, but at least you get a meal at school every day. So that's why we have the school lunch program. And so these beautiful faces you're seeing aren't hungry. At least they're getting 1 meal a day. And last year with COVID, you know, like the schools closed. So that's why we started our food parcel program, realizing that we actually needed to feed the whole family, because if those kids were to get food, you know, it would be for the whole family. So we were really proud of springing into action last year and doing a COVID emergency relief food program. And last year that was hundreds of families each month.
Do you know how many parcels in total so far that you've, because one parcel feeds a family for a month for a month, right?
Yeah, we did 9, 10, 11. We've done like 12 months of food parcels, though we've tapered it down now because school is back. Good. So if we do 12 times average 80, it's probably almost 1,000 families fed for a month, which is
for a year, almost a year, yeah.
For almost a year.
1,000. Well, yeah, it's the same families potentially every month, so 100 a month times 9 months. But yeah. It was a lot of food, and that was about $23,000 US, which is thanks to people who donated last year. So So this year, you know, with the kids back at school, the focus is making sure we can continue the food program. So the kids, that's the principal of one of the programs.
She's fabulous.
So the kids can
and
make sure they get their dailies. Oh.
And, you know, I think what Charles's photography shows beautifully is their spirit. Right
here.
They do not have anything, but I promise you, they're as happy as the average person in a developed country. They're lovely people.
Years ago, I heard Christina Mittermeier speak, and she started a League of Conservation Photographers, one of the most important ones. And she and her partner, Paul Nicklin, are Nat Geo photographers and do major stuff. But she had this concept of enoughness, and it really struck a chord with me, because they travel to the most remote areas where people have nothing, but they're happy. And it puts into perspective, listen, you guys left corporate life and, you know, changed your lifestyle, because I think one of the things that I love about you guys that really struck the relationship is because you want to do something that leaves a mark. You don't want to live a life. There's nothing wrong. I just want to always say, nothing wrong with having money. I'd like to have a lot more of it. But to have a life that's spent just accumulating as opposed to being of service somehow, are two different things. And choosing to do that, you left some comfort, you know.
And it's amazing. I would say more people than not feel that drive. They feel that drive to take a step off course. We were fortunate that we were in a position where we had a little bit of savings to begin Wild Tomorrow Fund, and you know, we didn't have dependents. So some people choose to give in different ways. We decided, hey, let's go on this adventure. But and that's what's been incredible with Wild Tomorrow Fund is all these people that have joined forces with us.
It literally, it takes a village. Well, you've given me one of the most major sources of purpose in my life, and the ability to visit someplace I thought I'd never visit, to, because I have a certain skill, make a difference and to help people. So this is the last image here. You're probably all going, phew. And just to show you photographically, you'll notice under the awning here, and they're almost all in it, they're in open shade. But the sun was creeping, so right here it was going to start pushing more and more in. But earlier on, when we were doing the photos, they were all in that open shade. And once we drove up and I saw this location, I knew that I wouldn't need anything for the photos. So stopping the share.
So maybe I can give some context to our community program we have a very short video that talks about our community work in general. So, yes, and then if people have questions, please type them in the comments and we can. And
also, whether it's about Wild Tomorrow Fund, but also I'm here to answer photographically if anybody has questions. And I'll just pop in right here. So one of the ways Wild Tomorrow Fund does raise money is through these wonderful volunteer trips. And the images you're seeing are from two of them in 2019. One was a regular one that I went on initially, and then we did our photography-oriented one where I was a teacher. And by doing that, helped you guys raise, I want to say almost 20,000 for
that's right. Yeah.
Like that. So it's a big source, and we're talking about November. We're all looking at what's going on as a regular trip, but we're planning the next photography trip in April of next year. So if anybody wants information about that, contact them through their website or me. Anyway, go ahead. Zip.
There's our website. We actually are planning, hopefully we'll get enough people wanting to come. August, regular volunteer trip, then in November, which is very popular. So sign up quick, don't miss out.
And I think I'm going on that one.
Yeah, and then April next year for photography focus as well with Charles. But let me show you this video that really explains our community work.
Wild Tomorrow Fund is primarily a conservation charity. However, we are very strong believers in working with communities, not just in the traditional way of working on the boundaries of creating employment and benefits to the community members, but we feel it needs to be a much bigger scale. You need to provide training and education to people around the reserves in these rural communities that is not only usable in the reserve, but is usable anywhere in the country. Things like how to use computer programs, how to write a CV, how to do an interview. One of our most exciting programs we call the Green Mambas. It's a group of 14 women who are single mothers or come from child-headed households or are the head of the household. We're training them to do green projects and run small micro-businesses that over the time we want to hand it over to them 100% completely, that it's their own businesses.
Ukusebenzisana no Wild Tomorrow ngibona kimi kube impumelelo enkulu ngoba ngikwazile ukuthola isakhiwo ngenxa yabo beno-Africa Foundation. Ngibabonga kakhulu, sengathi uNkulunkulu angabagcina kuze kufike isikhathi sokuthi nami ngikhule ngokwesakhiwo nangokuningi nje engisakufisa kwenzeke kube impumelelo. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Since Wild Tomorrow Fund come here to help with the food, we see a lot of changes because the kids, they're coming more and more and more. We are very humbled because maybe that children, there is a future doctor, a future president. So if you help children, we invest to the more generation on this South Africa.
We realized because of the lockdown during the coronavirus epidemic, many families had no access to food or income, and children that we would normally support at school with food were now at home not being able to eat. So we raised funds through our amazing donors, and we managed to buy 60 food parcels that should sustain a family for at least a month. And then working with the community, we made sure that it went to the people who are the most needy. At the end of the day, conservation benefits from the people, and people are benefiting from conservation. And we believe that it's a very important way to do it. Otherwise, you're just building walls instead of making bridges.
You know, you got me all teary. I get all emotional.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
So I like that last that Clinton said, building, instead of building walls between wildlife and community, building bridges, and it's so important that the community benefits from conservation. And I know a lot of volunteers come, really on our trips, and they're most excited about the wildlife and seeing elephants and rhinos. But actually, it's surprising when some people come home and be like, it was the kids that really stole my heart, not the elephant. So, yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, indeed. And also first, I just want to say hi to Bill Winter and Amy and Bradley Pratt. Thank you so much on the photos. It's a privilege to do this work, actually, both a dream come true and a privilege. And the tying in, with the food parcels last year. So we did a fundraising thing in September. I did a headshot thing, and it was thrilling for me. We raised enough to feed 44 families for a month. But it's directly tied into, I'm going to show some of the rhino dehorning stuff next. And when people are hungry, they need to eat. And you have to understand, and I'm growing to understand, how you handle the need to try and lessen the desire for people to poach. So helping to feed the community is a part of that, yes, somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the rhino poaching is such a huge, is undertaken by like major international criminal syndicates, and they take advantage of people who are living in poverty. And this is a crime on the level of guns, drugs. A rhino horn is worth on the black market more than gold. So you can imagine that attracts, the illegal temptation to kill a rhino for its horn, and that is and the horn itself is made of keratin, just like your fingernails or a cow's hoof, right? So you can trim it without harming the rhino, and actually the horn grows back. And it's not a full strategy, of course, because, you know, a poacher could still come in for a small portion of horn, and that horn goes into their face. So it's not a strategy on its own. So you have to combine all the reserves in our region that are successfully keeping rhinos safe in the middle of this crisis. They are dehorning, they have fully trained armed rangers, and it's extremely expensive. So reserves have to really invest in their rhinos to keep them alive, basically. So when our volunteers come, the money that they raise or, you know, donate to come on the trip directly funds that rhino dehorning or other work that we do, that it's such a financial burden otherwise for reserves. So rhino reserves are extremely happy to have the volunteers come and assist, and it's a very moving and emotional experience.
It's the first time that we had a black rhino in the morning and a white rhino in the afternoon, and my camera and my iPhone, I wanted to share stuff, and a little video thing that I was horrible with. And of course I forgot my camera strap, and I'm taking photos and getting right in there, and I was sobbing inside. I was heaving. And, you know, just so I'm going to set this up a little for people, and the horn grows back, I think it's a centimeter every 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
So dehornings have to happen about every 18 months or 2 years.
Yeah. Unfortunately, once you've done it, that isn't the end of the issue, because it'll just grow back, and then you'll have to raise more money.
And even though there's a lot more that goes in, obviously, in terms of security and armed guards and stuff like that, the dehornings have actually, I don't have the statistics with me, but they have shown to diminish the poachings.
Absolutely.
The horribleness. So I'm going to start showing some of those images. I just want everybody to know it can look a little bit rough. And the dehorning is done with a, whatchamacallit? Chainsaw. But it's the most efficient and empathetic way to do it. And again, as Wendy said, they're like nails, it's keratin, and it does not hurt when it's done properly. And with a team that comes in and does it with empathy, and skill.
And in an ideal world, we wouldn't have to do it. When the demand stops, you know, the killing will stop too. That's WildAid talks about that. So ultimately, the solution is stopping the demand for rhino horn. But until that disappears, unfortunately, this is one way to keep them safe.
So as you can see here, it takes quite a crew, and it's expensive because you need a helicopter pilot, you need a vet with a lot of experience who darts the rhino from the air, and then you need security, and you need scientists, and they're taking samples for DNA and documenting notches on the ears so that they can identify the rhinos in the future by individuals. So it takes all of these people to do that. I'm just going to run through. This is getting the rhino into the right position. Unfortunately, he went down in the wrong way for the light, but not trying to make light of all of this. I will tell you all, I was just in tears doing this, but to be this close. And what's happening here is once the rhino is in position, the eyes and the ears are covered, because although the rhino is out, the sound and the vibration of the chainsaw can kind of make it jerk around a little bit, but it's definitely not awake and it's not in pain. Here's, I'm not sure if he's not taking measurements yet, but they're covering the eyes, and there are the eyes covered, and you can see that horn, and I'm not sure what he's doing here. So here's Izzy, this was the April trip, and getting to, if you come as a volunteer, you might be asked to take measurements like this. And it's quite profound and emotional.
This is a black rhino, which is the smaller of the two in the region, and they're grumpy. You do not want to be around them when they wake up.
Yeah, I was going to say, and they are different amounts of sedative or what's used to bring them back. And you have to be very careful when the black rhino, when you inject the reversal, you got to get out of there. So everybody's cleared except for the doctor, and he hightails it for the vet, and he hightails it for the Jeep. Here he is taking pictures. These are for the notches to individually be able to identify by the ears. The white rhino, you'll see later, actually at the end of this, is groggy and kind of just stumbles around and wanders off. So you can stay on the ground watching. Here, preparation for a DNA sample, like that, and then a little antibiotic spray afterwards. And this is how it's done, with a chainsaw. And this vet is amazing. He's been doing this forever, back in the days when it was very difficult and put the rhinos in difficulty, and they are very caring.
And just say black rhinos are critically endangered, which means they are, you know, on the conservation scale, one step away from extinction. So every individual matters. And so if this is what it takes to save their life, you know, we're very happy to help. There's around, black rhinos, around 3,500 left in the world. So this is one. And our partner reserves in the region have had success with keeping them safe, so much so that they can help seed their reintroduction in other reserves in South Africa and in Africa generally. So
what they're doing here is with an angle grinder. It's so, sorry, Charles, if you were going to say that.
I was going to say just smoothing so that there's no cracks for infection.
That's right, yeah.
And they'll get sprayed with a purple antibiotic as well afterwards. But John, you can say it. And then keeping the rhino cool and the temperature down so it's the least stress possible. And that was the end of the morning. This was the black rhino. In the afternoon, it was a white rhino, and the light was much better. Still as important, though. And this is the team getting the rhino into position. And John taking some measurements, keeping the rhino cool while everything was happening, photographing the notches on the ears for the individual identification.
And you know, this, you can see it's in a nice open space. So the helicopter, when they're in the air before this starts, they try to push the rhino to an open space. I mean, we were on a very fun dehorning where the rhinos were in a very bushy terrain, and actually Axel, you know, and other people had to run up a tree. I mean, imagine you're standing in a wildlife reserve right here that is home to, you know, elephants, other rhinos, lions. So, you know, there are rangers watching because you don't want to have your back turned when.
Charles, the thing I love about these is how different they are to the first chapter of this presentation. This is real documentary style, and you're capturing the process that happened throughout. And I think that's so nice, the difference between the first set and this set.
Yeah, well, it's a matter of being able to get in nice and tight. Yeah, and this is the team. And this is a helicopter I got to go up in. It was pretty damn cool. I think there's a rule, if you're a helicopter pilot, you have to be like incredibly sexy, right? Isn't it?
They always seem to be.
And here is waiting. So this all was the white rhino and the team waiting. If you come on a trip, this will be you. The rhinos got the reversal and waiting for him to get up nice and easy. This is the vet overseeing his work, his beautiful work. And so that was the last one on that one. These were April, and we're just going to run through a few. There's not a lot. This was October, the October trip. But this is how you'll travel if you go, whether it's on safari drives, or this is for going to the rhino dehorning and a little bit of the landscape in South Africa, in KwaZulu-Natal. It's just beautiful. There's nothing, it really does, it changes your life.
Charles, we have some supporters of friends saying hi from Australia, and I know they also helped dehorn a rhino. So this is probably bringing back memories of that, very much like for most people, once in a lifetime experience. And to be that hands-on with conservation. I mean, it depends what's needed at the time when the volunteers come, but it could be, often it's because of where we are and because of the rhino crisis, it is rhino dehorning, but we've also done collaring of African wild dogs for monitoring, elephant collaring, which is really once in a lifetime. We've, yeah, whatever's most needed. And it's really amazing to be able to get hands-on and know that you're helping, and by going on the trip that you've helped this rhino and funded this work. Yeah.
Yep. I just give it, I forget if that's the antidote that they're preparing there, but on the right is Lisa, who is actually a doctor. And I think the trip was pretty life-changing for her. And that's Nadia on the left, who is a fellow ambassador, and she'll be making an appearance a little bit later. And I think I see a really sexy helicopter pilot in the background.
Yeah, in the background we have Dr. Duncan Lyle from Australia watching now, and he got to do the reversal. I think the vets can quickly pick a doctor and give them, and maybe the doctors are more willing to come forward because it's quite nerve-wracking.
I would not want to do it. I wouldn't feel, I wouldn't want to screw it up.
Yeah, and I don't like needles, and I did get to put a reversal in an elephant's ear, which was, I mean, amazing. So, yeah.
That's a great shot, Charles.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm just going to point out that that's Karen, who is the reserve manager at Manyoni Private Game Reserve, and it's really awesome to see a woman heading up a whole reserve. It's not that usual in South Africa. Conservation tends to be more male-dominated, so it's really awesome to work with Karen and see her managing reserve. It's inspiring.
Yeah, and fabulous. I just paused here. So there's a little bit of blur in the next images because I brought photographically a little thing called a Lens Baby Soul. It's a 45 millimeter, and it's basically you can point it, it moves, and it's manual focus though. So since I had the good fortune of having gone in April, I took a risk and tried, and it ended up working out well, grabbing focus, because I never use manual focus. And it just adds a different feel to the images. So that's here I tip it to the left, and it goes there.
And
there she is. Yeah, she was kind enough to let me grab a snap. And this is Michelle, who also, I think her life was changed a bit. And I have a feeling she might be coming on another trip soon.
Yep.
But
she's coming in November.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hi, Michelle, if you're out there. This image is just so evocative for me because it's about the connection. And I think, and without being too sappy, although that's hard with me, the connection that we all have. And it's with the wildlife and the helping them and the community and the bigger things of buying the land that you need so that they can roam the way they're meant to, and creating corridors, all of that stuff. And the need goes on and on and on. And everything we do is really helpful towards that end, whether it's dehornings or whether it's feeding school children, or we come back here, or whether it's building cabins for the rangers who are out there patrolling day in and day out, and I'll show later. They don't have the interiors of they've been in this old tent. So one of the things Wild Tomorrow Fund did was built these cabins. And in the April trip, we were finishing them, painting, building the furniture and stuff. John is right in there. He actually loves doing that stuff. He has a background, I think, in building. I was usually a little bit wiped out, and I always joked that it was my favorite thing to do. Not, but it was really fun and lovely to do. Do we want to take any questions? Are there any?
We didn't ask people to yet, but please do. Okay. If people would like to ask questions.
Dehorning often brings up.
Hi, Shelley. Shelley's in Florida, and your friends and that stuff. Cool. So, should I just hop into whatever the next thing is?
Yeah, this is great.
All right. Let me pick and decide, because we had to do this a certain way. We just did the rhino.
Maybe you can do a quick plug for the food, because Charles has put, really planned this event to raise the money to feed the kids this year. You saw their beautiful photos, so I'll share the GoFundMe.
Share the GoFundMe, and I'm just going to throw out before I throw this stuff up. It's like $3,600 for the entire year to feed 70 school children, one lunch every day for a year. That breaks down to $300 a month. Somebody wants to do that. If anybody's watching, you want to invite your friends to watch this or to GoFundMe, 100 people donating $10 makes a huge impact. As I'd written, I don't know if anybody's seen this. If anybody, and it has to be in Manhattan, New York City, if anybody donates $1,000, and that can be as many people as I don't care if it's 5 or 10, I will come to your home or your office or do an outdoor shoot for you and 4 of your friends. So 5 of you. And if we go over, if for some reason we get 4 of those and we go 5, 6, 7, I'll do them all. And each $1,000 donation gets an afternoon and a shoot for 5 people. So just want to put that out there. And if anybody out there is corporate, this is an amazing, amazing deal. And if you're an actor or creative, have a tight budget, you can get 4 more friends to go in, $200 a pop. It's a really good deal as well. So
Thank you,
now,
amazing.
that being, well, we all got to do what we can do. Got to do what we got to do. So do we want birds or general wildlife next?
Let's do birds.
No. Okay. Let's do birds. There we go. I am so good at being obnoxious. It's not even funny.
Well, Charles is bringing that up on screen. You know, I think what's really incredible about the land that we're saving and this habitat that we're restoring and protecting is the biodiversity that's there. So this full expression and amazing array of life, from termites to birds to, you know, Nile crocodiles. And our ecologists have been working really hard since we took management of the land only, 2017, 18, 19, 20, so 3 years. We've documented and confirmed over 991 species at our reserve. It is in a global biodiversity hotspot, which means it's one of 36 recognized hotspots in the world that's, you know, really important ecological, like places, wild places that support so much really special life, from plants to wildlife. So birds, we have at least 300. We've counted so far 301 unique species. Next door at the World Heritage Wetland that we will connect with as a corridor, there are over 500 species of birds. So we're still completing our list. So for all the birders out there, it's a really fun thing to do. And I know that Charles wants to say something.
Well, I just want to pop in a general photographic thing, and then you can keep talking about all of this. These were some of these were done on safari drives. And if you come on a volunteer trip and you work, it's like 8 or 9 days of work, and then you get 3 days of a luxury. You get the big safari drive, stay in a really nice place. Fabulous. Some of these are also, and it'll be clear, bird ringing events that we were privileged to attend, because Wild Tomorrow Fund helps support the doing of that, and you get up close and with the most beautiful, gorgeous birds. Some of these photographically as well, when the background is all white like this, it's basically being blown out on purpose so that you can expose for the bird. And I can be random. I will oversaturate sometimes, add contrast. There's no rhyme or reason for me. I'm going to give a plug to another Wild Tomorrow Fund ambassador, though, has a very specific style, and his work is breathtaking. Drop Martin Meyer's Instagram in, and his stuff is fine art. I'm more documenting, and I do a little bit of, you'll see some kind of black and white and sepia stuff from me. But Martin is amazing, has a huge following, and kudos to the work that he does, because it takes a village. I'm so glad he's an ambassador as well.
Oh, so you're going to have to name every one of these species?
Yeah,
no, actually, I'm not naming any of them, because
that's a haddy dad, I believe. I'm not good either.
We're going to learn our birds.
La-di-da to you. Right? So some of these also, guys, so you know, we're done early morning, and they're very high ISOs. I preach increasing your ISO so you have a fast enough shutter speed. Some of these are very heavy crops at 600 millimeters, and then maybe 1/4 or an eighth of the frame. This is a reason to spend a lot of money on a camera, and with great resolution, and a long lens, and a fast burst mode that grabs focus quickly. But conversely, I just want to say that you can come on one of these trips, and if you're not hell-bent on getting a close-up of a beautiful bird like this, you can have a great time using your iPhone. You can't zoom in, you can't do burst mode, but you can get overviews, and the scenics are just gorgeous for that. So this takes us right into the bird ringing, and you're going to see some beautiful birds and some of the images of the process. And the species, I actually have to send this. It's James, right? The guy.
Yeah.
So I need to send some of this stuff to him. So what happens is these nets that you see, and this, by the way, these are all purposefully blurry because this is with that Lens Baby Soul. Again, I made a creative choice. And the nets, they put them up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're kind of rolled up or down so that the night birds don't fly into them. And then they're rolled down at whatever the right hour is, sunrise, and the birds fly into them. They're safely tangled, and they very gently untangle the birds and put them in bags where they start to take measurements. These are the bags that they're put in, and they're at the table. And after the measurements are done, we get to release them. And it was an amazing feeling. And James talked about the whole process and showed us how you grip right with your fingers up as close to the body as you can so that the little feet or claws are down below. And some of the birds just chill. Some of them are a little persnickety.
But only the experts get to do the raptors.
Is that right? Yeah, exactly.
And Charles, we have a question from Duncan Lyle in Australia. He's asking, what would you recommend for a sort of amateur coming on? Oh, this is a great photo to.
But, yeah, we'll go back to that. So,
like what kind of, obviously an iPhone, you're not. Ideally, you have a better camera than an iPhone on a photograph.
Okay, exactly.
What do you recommend minimum for a starter? So,
depending on your budget. The thing that would be most important to me, I bought on sale a great lens from Sigma. It's a 150 to 600, and they have two versions. I bought the cheaper one, the contemporary one, which is usually $1,100. It dropped. It's been $900. I got it on a song for $730, and it's the best investment you can make for this kind of photography is a lens like that, like this. You can pair that with the mid-level camera body. Whether it's 500 or 800, what you get as you get more expensive and get into full frame is you get more digital information. You get better quality at high ISOs, which is when you have less light. But a lens like that is the way to go. And feel free, Duncan or whomever, to contact me. Again, my website, charleschesslerphotography.com. It's the contact area, but my email is charleschesslerphotography@gmail.com. And if you just Google my name with 2 S's, Charles, I'm everywhere because I'm just, And
Charles, the lens is called a Sigma.
So it's a Sigma 150 to 600. And they make a C lens, which is contemporary, which is the one I have. They make a sport lens, which is heavier duty, more weather sealed, about maybe not twice the weight. But at this point, and the condition I'm in, I couldn't handle that. You want the lens to be something you can hold and move around with. But feel free, Duncan, to contact me if you want.
And secondhand from a reputable dealer, you're fine with?
I would be okay. I've always, honest, it's a personal thing. I've always shied away from buying secondhand. It's just a thing with me. I want the original, and I want to have that warranty and the manufacturer's warranty. If anything goes wrong, that's just me. I know people who buy very successfully, and it's just a quirk with me. But if there's a really reputable established, there are places here in New York City, and you have at least like a 90-day warranty. And what I would do is get it, and I would go use it like crazy and make sure it's working well, because you don't want to invest. So everybody's budget is what it is. But I'd rather spend $1,000 and get what I really want and need that's going to last for a long time than spend $500 and have to rebuy it. I am not minimizing any of those amounts of money. Everybody who knows me knows that I never wanted for anything, but I don't come from money. And I've worked for everything. I've been a cater waiter. I was a personal trainer for 20 years, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm very passionate about photography, and I want the absolute best. I don't want to have to rebuy it. And I'm also, I'll be 60 this year. It's like, what am I waiting for? So if you can figure out a way to get the best, you do get more for your money. But be in touch with me, Duncan, all right? So this, this is Naja, and also a Wild Tomorrow Fund ambassador. And what was amazing on the trip is that aside from shooting, and she shoots with a Nikon and a nice zoom lens like that, incredibly, she was live streaming to Mars. And Yeah, that wasn't funny, was it? Anyway, but Nadia was all decked out and looking very cool, so I had to take a photo. So back to some of the birds. This is manual focus again, and I was thrilled that I caught focus. With this Lens Baby Soul, you bracket the focus. I would take a shot, turn a little, shot, 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 and 1 out of, or 2 out of 7 came out. But it really throws that out of focus, his face, that's done in camera with that lens. And that's a $200 lens. Back to Nadia, this is, when you're here, you're happy. Everybody is just freaking happy. And it is life-changing. There's a reason people get involved, and some of us as ambassadors are doing everything we can to help however we can. And thank God Wild Tomorrow Fund has some people who can donate a lot of money, some people who donate time, people who are doing and getting those school kids, right? They sold slime and they raised $400 and something.
There's some kindergarten children in New York who, Lisa's saying hello, and there she is on screen. That's
Hi,
amazing.
Lisa. I'm so glad you're
Lisa,
here.
so good to see you. I'm glad you're joining us.
I love the emotion here, that even though Lisa's not in focus, that you can see. It's just like, so anyway, go ahead with the slime thing. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think talk about no excuse for the adults in the room to help wildlife there.
Who dat?
I'm looking tanned there. Wow. Yeah, we had a group of kindergarten children who were being Izzy, our volunteer, was doing a summer job with them, and like they made slime and sold it to kids, and they raised over $400. Kindergarten children, which is so cute.
And just in the interest, sorry if I know I'm interrupting you, but thoughtus interruptus. In the idea that no amount is too small, going back to our purpose for tonight, $300 feeds 70 kids a daily lunch for a month. So $100, feeds for a third of a month. It's just, so it's very doable. And Wendy, you said it was like $4 a day or something like. It
was $4. It sounds incredible. I mean, I was like, is these numbers right? So basically $4 US.
But wait, if it's $300 a month, it's $10 a day to feed the entire all 70 kids. 70
children, yeah, and then divide that. So it's basically $4 to provide the school lunch for one child for an entire month, which is amazing. And
right.
We have Bronwyn, there's a lot of Aussies today, which is amazing.
Hi, Aussies, I love you.
Bronwyn was a volunteer as well, actually same time as Charles and John. And, Aussie borders are closed, but we can't wait for Bronwyn to be able to come back. And she took beautiful photos as well.
I'm just going to bring it back. Yeah, this last, because the thought is sticking in my head. So a $10 donation provides lunch for one day for all those kids. So there is no donation too small. If you do come on a photography-oriented trip, I can speak, I promise. The first thing I'll teach you is to always make sure you step in front of everybody else so you get the best photo. But here you're seeing a bunch of people being really happy. This Lens Baby is just thrilling for me when I caught focus like that. And I feel like you can feel the emotion in the guy in the background that he's totally blurred.
And you can see the little band. So the whole point of this conservation exercise is to, with the nets and catching the birds and releasing them, is it's a survey that's done. We were doing it biannually, and you can see, first of all, what bird species are there, but then the banding, they call it bird ringing in other countries. Then you can see if the same individual comes back. And it's surprising how many are kind of local and get caught. They turn up in the study again and again. And then that data is sent to the South African National Biodiversity Institute to help with their databases and understanding of the range of the birds and where they, so it helps. Oh, I love that kingfisher.
I'm gonna, when you're done, I'll lead into this.
There's a scientific collection of data that goes with this process. And I have to say personally, and I love birds, I was very moved by holding this little bird in your hand is actually you feel quite nervous. You don't want to do it wrong. And then this joy of letting it go. And actually there were the partners of these little birds in the trees, waiting for their
Yep.
these, you could see them up there chirping away and being like, hurry up, you coming? It's actually really a beautiful thing to do. I'd never done it before, and it's really nice to do.
It's very emotional. So the thing about this bird, which is very cool, Lisa Walker, who is, hi Lisa again, got to do this one, is James told us that when you go to hold it, it will lie on its back and play dead as a safety measure. And basically, and I'll show you. So there it is. And there's Lisa being very happy. And I don't have an image of it, but when Lisa turns her hand over, the bird then flies away to safety. So there, but look at that.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It's just like so chill, kind of, right? So, and then gone. This, and there's some other images coming later. I know that you had some students that were interns for a bit, and being able to share this with the local community, the joy on this gal's face, and they got to learn about conservation. It was just palpable and wonderful. And more birds. Just wend our way through here towards the end of this. So this is this group of gals, and this joy is, you can't fake this. So such a treat and a pleasure. And again, this is this lens baby soul, which is why it's out of focus on the edges on purpose. I mean, look at these guys, right? Mm-hmm. Cute. And this just, and then taking a little snip. Mm-hmm. And portraits. I'm dying to go back and do more portraits, so everybody knows that's one of my major things as well. I love this image. It's just a connection. And here's somebody who lives locally who, when might they never ever get a chance to experience this? So thank you, Wild Tomorrow Fund, right? Look at the colors on this guy.
I was amazed in saying these photos show it, how the birds are calm in your hand. They're not flapping their wings, but as soon as you release that pressure, they take off.
I think there's a, if you put in a certain energy that's kind of confident, but it's a positive energy, if you're nervous, I think they'll pick up and they get a little nervous, but the calmer you are and kind of secure and sure, and it's a beautiful experience to hold them in your hands. Now we're moving on to there was a day we were out on a boat, I think in the October trip, some random. So this is a 600 millimeters and cropped, but I have plenty of shutter speed. I talk about increasing.
The kingfisher, the kookaburra is a type of kingfisher, by the way. Yeah,
with a great nose. And this was backlit. The light was really tricky here, but this was a first for me. See, and again, this is from a moving boat, so I'll take it. Also, and I think we led into, these guys, very, very cute. And again, a lot of these are heavy crops. So for, one of the reasons to spend more on a camera, if you can, is so that you can crop in even to even less than a quarter of the, sometimes I go to an eighth, I'll even go to a 10th. These may not be for prints or for anything like that, but I think most of the people, I just want to encourage, for your personal experience, you end up with these. This is a very heavy crop and a very high ISO. Photographers, some will notice the grain or the digital noise, but I don't care. I left this one in, and the next one is the crop of this image. See what you can get out of it.
And I'm pretty sure that this was taken at a partner reserve called Chessler in Pholosi Park, which is actually the home to the white rhino, where all white rhino, in the prior poaching crisis in the 60s, they brought the last white rhinos back to this reserve, and that's where every white rhino that remains in Africa has been repopulated from there. So it is the home of the white rhino in Africa and a government reserve. And that's
actually, I think, I'm not sure that, so here, we were on a boat here because I remember shooting through, trying to capture. This is another reason to get a really good camera, is how swift it will grab focus.
That's a pygmy kingfisher. I
love how it's blown out in front. It's really nice.
The depth, that's shooting wide open, which is f8. This is 600 millimeters and cropped in. So So I throws it out. Not a bird, but look at this cute little, I was thrilled to catch focus on this one and that tongue.
Wow.
And this is another, so this is probably using exposure compensation. Actually, remember specifically, this was +2.5 or +3 exposing for the subject, which was backlit. So blowing out the background completely. It's all white. But there are people who do fine art prints with this technique on purpose, which I quite love. So, you know, rules are, you need to know the rules so that you can break them and use them. This was love this. I discovered this preparing for tonight. It only took me 2 years. But this, Duncan, is what you get. So I'm very fortunate. I shoot with a 1DX Mark II from Canon. It's 14 frames a second. So I'm going and capturing that moment, and that you have detail. And this is also fairly heavy crop. And we see whatever's, I don't think it's a bee, even though it's a bee eater. And those wings, this is very, very lucky. But at 14 frames a second, you get a moment like this. Was this the right order? These are the bee eaters. We were parked and hanging. I was hanging off the side of the vehicle, and oh yeah, it went the wrong way. So this was the shot initially. This is at 600 millimeters and catching focus, very important. Then this is a little bit of a crop in, and then this is crop. That's how much detail is still there. So pretty exciting. And that's it on the birds. Cool.
Wonderful.
Questions?
There was another.
Say no.
Keep going. I thought I saw one come in. I'm just going to look for it, but no, maybe I was wrong.
So yeah, we're going to finish with school too. So I got the rangers. Let's say hi to the rangers, and we'll do general wildlife, and then we'll do school too to finish up. So let me do that, and let me do that. And this is to show a little bit the progress, what happened building the camp. Let me share. Thank you, F-Stop Foundation. It really is. I get it's a dream come true for me that I'm even sharing these. I can't tell you what a joy, and I get all verklempt. All right. So here is in the rangers, their whole area where they are, and this is how rainwater is gathered in these jojos. It's used for cooking and for washing. The structure behind was the kitchen, which I think had been, there'd been work done on that?
Yeah, it's being upgraded this year, and there's the beautiful.
These are these cabins. This was 2 years ago, April, and we were there to finish them up. We built, you'll see some stuff inside. We did the painting, and then on top of the paint, I'm blanking on what goes on top of the paint there. It's the weatherproofing, right?
Yeah, it's like
that nice patina. Anyway, these are great. This is just a find. This is Axel's hand, and just as we were sitting around, and you know what you see. This is near their area, and I wanted to show this because this is part of the fencing. And fencing is another thing that is a great expense that has to be kept up, and just to acknowledge that. There's Dizzy Miss Izzy. We're cleaning. Blah, blah, blah. And here's John. And I love this image. And John is very humble and sometimes shy. But what I love about both John and Wendy is that they are so down to earth. They have dedicated their lives to this thing. They get their fingers dirty. There's no pretension whatsoever. They're incredibly real. They are incredibly appreciative of everything that everybody does. And it's all about the thing. And it's not, we all have egos. You need ego to have a passion and a dream and to fulfill it, but it's not about ego in that way. And it's a really, really beautiful thing. And so spending time with them is another added bonus if you come on a trip. You guys are great. I love you guys. So. We
love it. We love coming on the trips and actually getting to spend that time with people. And those friendships, you know, last a lifetime too. We've we have made amazing friends through Wild Tomorrow Fund and through volunteers that came on the trip, and it's just
shared. All my long-term friends are from shared passions at different parts of my life, and that's what brings people together in doing it. These are some portraits we did of the Rangers. I think these were natural light with a reflector. I did some with an on-camera flash.
So with the photography focused volunteers, we really work together with Charles to think of how you can use your photography to make a difference. Your photography specifically, so helping with Ranger portraits for our website, and then my favorite was the portraits for the kids, which Charles mentioned at the very beginning, because we brought the printer, and the idea that these, in Australia or in America, it's normal that you would have a school photo every year that you take home and that your mum gets to keep and you get to keep, and you'll have that memory forever. These kids that just don't have it, that's just something, that doesn't happen. And it was so nice to be able to go and everybody helped take these photos, and most importantly, give the photos to the children. It was really about that. And to they each got 2 copies of everything, so that they and their mom could have the photos. And actually what was super cute was the parents coming too, because they knew it was school photo day. There'd never been a school photo day, and coming and having photos with their children, and even the teachers wanted their photos, and the pastor Bonga at the orphanage, he wanted a few photos. It was really fun, and it's super practical way as a photographer to help and give back in a really direct way.
And what we did, just if anybody's considering the photo-oriented trip. So the first trip I went on, which was a general volunteer trip, I did all the portraits. But when I come as a teacher, I will guide you, and you guys are doing all the portraits. I may take a little bit, but I'm there to help you. One of the reasons I'm gonna try and go in November is so that I can have a little more photographic time for me. But it also gives me great pleasure to see people make progress. I love teaching. There's some folks on here who have studied with me, and I think they'll attest to that. So moving day out of the tent and into was also a day, basically, John is here and he's digging a path to bring electricity or to power in. And they had solar panels, and they run underground into the kitchen area to these things that were hooked up, and that then runs to the tents or the cabins where they actually have electricity as a result. So here they are moving their stuff. And again, enoughness, right? These guys are happy for work, but they're devoting their life, and they are patrolling the land, and they're the first line of defense, whether it's awareness or more about potential poaching or people who are doing damage to the property. So they don't have a lot, but this is like moving in. So here's the
definitely an upgrade from the prior accommodation. Yeah.
And here, I'm sorry I didn't find one, but this was where the tent was, and it was this big, huge, green, old, like army tent. So it was really a thrill. I didn't know going in April to be part of helping them put this together, so these guys could have a better quality of life, and they could do as a result what they need to do. These were the beds in the old tent, so it gives you an idea.
Ones.
Yeah.
Charles, I'm going to be a bit of a timekeeper here because we're
okay.
So we might want to. Do you have?
I'm going to finish. I'm going to run through. We have 25 minutes, right? 8:30. These are the green mambas, and I'll just run through these portraits. I don't know if you want to speak a little bit more about them. Photographically, this was done with an on-camera flash with a round head, and there's an ambient exposure, Duncan, that's the background. It was very dappled light. It was hard to find open shade, which is something I love for portraits. So we found the best we could. I darkened the background, and then they are lit with the exposure from the flash on the camera. So this is a situation where on-camera flash is good. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So these ladies, there's 14 ladies that live in the community, and we are proud to hire them on a per project basis to help restore our wildlife reserves. What they specifically do is they remove those invasive alien plants that are strangling out the indigenous plant species. So they work really hard, and when they heard that Charles had his camera with them, they're wearing their Sunday best. They they're usually in, like muddy clothes, but they were so excited to have their photos taken.
Yeah, I almost was unable to leave. So a couple more rangers. This is on camera flash with the background exposed for the background. Darker. You can see the flash, it's straight in. And I love shooting like this. Duncan, these are two different exposures, and it gives you more latitude with what's called dynamic range and how much detail you can get in brights and darks. So, and everybody reflects light differently. I love this. It's just great, that warmth. So, and it's just a little something on patrol there like that. All right, so this can go bye-bye. And I can just run through, I'll go to wildlife, and I'll just kind of run through the wildlife. And there's, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
While you're looking for that, I can't resist showing. So, Wild Tomorrow Fund is saving this land and restoring it and actually rewilding it, which means bringing back species that weren't there before, but would have historically ranged there. So we're talking about, the little things make their way there, but the big things you kind of have to make.
Let me interrupt, and you can continue when I start, and I'll start, and then you can keep talking about that. I just want to say that these are some of these. It's wildlife that's on Ukuwela. Some of it are on game drives, all different kinds of stuff, and some of it very high ISOs. Some of it the light is beautiful. That's all I'm going to say. And I'll start, and you can keep. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to show a video? This is my all-time favorite. Go
ahead. Yeah, show your video. Sorry.
Okay. So, it's a part of, this process of actually kind of creating a wildlife reserve. You've got to save the land. You have to get the rangers. You need to protect it. You need ranger infrastructure. You need fencing, and then you need the animals. So we had to bring them back. And a lot of people have sponsored those animals. And Justin Clairvaux in Australia sponsored a heap of these animals. Company matching helps. You get two for one. Anyway, here's like our favorite, one of the favorites, the giraffe this is a release from 2019.
Making me teary again, damn you. You too, right? Seeing that with the music and everything.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, and John too. Everybody.
And it's actually really hard to time wildlife releases because it's an interesting process. I have to go find a reserve that has excess that wants to sell, and then do a roundup, and sometimes the weather's not right. So we do try, if we are releasing wildlife, try to aim it for when the volunteers are there, because it is such a cool thing to be there on the ground for. And the last trip we had with volunteers in October, pre-COVID, we just caught it. It was was it wildebeest or zebra on your last trip?
It was wildebeest.
Was it wildebeest? Yeah. Oh, it was wildebeest, and then literally a few days later, I think we had zebra. But yeah, it's a really incredible part of our work, and Justin's saying it's hard to catch the ostrich. We now have ostrich as well, which is really we're all waiting. That would be an amazing photograph to take, Charles. So
it really would. I'm totally down. And Linda makes me cry too. Jennifer, thank you on the portraits. Shelly, yeah, they're a beautiful crew, the Green Mambas. So All right, I'm just gonna flow through some of these. Yeah, we've got 20 minutes. Actually, I think we're doing really, really well. So just 2 more sections to go. Do you want to, I can be obnoxious. Do you want to drop in the GoFundMe link again? And maybe somebody, like $10 makes a difference. You know, 100, $1,000. I'm coming to photograph you and 4 friends. Okay. So
Australia.
Yeah.
if you fly me there on top of it, yeah, I will pay my expenses, and I'm totally down. So these are this is from the first afternoon ever for me, and the day after we arrived. And these are some of on Ukuwela. These guys, everybody's seen this photo before. And again, blown out the background, exposing, adding a little bit. So there's a little Lightroom, a little clarity and contrast to make them pop here. I'll be sharing some stuff this is straight out of camera. And some of them is mixed up in the order. This is one of my favorite photos. It's like the crew coming on in. I love, and the angle looking up at them, and it just, my heart, you know, the zebra. So beautiful. So this guy, after they visited, wanted to check us out, and I'm going to go kind of very quickly. This is a reason to have a good burst mode on your camera.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I'm out of here, and gets it back to this guy.
So actually all of our giraffe, well, we're still working on the ID kit, but you can tell who they are. They all have names, and those names were given to them by their donors, actually the zebra as well. So that giraffe you saw had those wonky ossicones, so it's pretty easy to say that that's Zena, I believe.
Yep. Oh, no, that's on him.
Yeah. Mango monkey?
Say again.
Monkey. There's two monkey species in our region, but only one at Ukuwela, which is this one, a vervet monkey.
This is me in my happy place. Sorry, I had to put a couple of these in. And I just also, I think, John, I think you took this, and I warmed it up a bit. But being in the moment in a place like this, it fills your soul. I can't recommend it enough if it's doable.
That's not on our reserve.
The wildlife. This is a traffic jam on the way from one place to the other. I thought I would include this here because you know. So
cattle are a store of value for Zulu people, so they're very important and yeah.
So and you stop and slow down for them, obviously. Very good. So but this is like, you know, this is, I forget what time of day it was, pretty high ISO. And this is what you're seeing driving around. And it's like I kept having to pinch myself that it wasn't a magazine.
Oh wow. Love that, Charles.
So, yeah, this was a day, one of the safari days, and it was an early morning drive. You get up and we got where we were going, and the fog, it's just gorgeous. So I wanted to, I guess I popped this in here. Love this, the landscape. And who knew?
Guess what that is? Who knows what that is?
My grandpa.
My grandpa. I grew to start loving warthogs, I have to say. And this is how close you'll get to these magnificent creatures if you're lucky, if we're on draw. There are no guarantees, but you know, we saw a lot of them. This was a baby, and we got a glimpse for about 60 seconds. Photographically, for me, it was a thrill. This is a very heavy crop, and I caught focus on the head. And I love this photo because it just getting to see it. And this monkey wasn't so impressed with my shot. But so,
oh my God, who's that guy? That's what he said.
Who's that guy, right? Can I go home with him?
Oh.
Random. So this is a close crop. Look at the eyelashes on this elephant. This is a little bit farther back on that. And, you know, see you guys. Elephant crossing. And
you know, it really does depend on the trip. It's hard to manage expectations. I mean,
yes.
One of the volunteer trips we were on, we had a safari drive at the government reserve on the very last day, and we were surrounded by elephants and a breeding herd of elephants and the little baby. It was amazing. And then other days, one of our trips that we were at the reserve renowned for elephants, and we saw like one. So it really depends. And yeah, we can't wait for everyone to visit. We can't wait for William from F-Stop to visit, and he's also an incredible photographer. So
Charles, the treatment of that really does it well.
So, and I'll have more, some of the rhinos. This is a treatment that I quite like, and maybe I'll do a book at some point with like the best shots like this. We can sell it and raise money for you guys. So they're not all keepers. I posted this on Facebook when I was looking through, but I actually have to say I quite like this. Fellow photographers say just crop it in really tight. That's the story. But it's like, I'm out of here. You ain't getting my photo, yo.
It's a male and Yala. I think they're magical creatures. They're very confident, and I love their spots, and they have an amazing kind of dance when the males are, you know, trying to face off each other. It's beautiful.
And on a drive, this is what you see driving around, you know. And so you're in a vehicle, and you know, when we see something, we stop. Everybody gets to photograph. This is like takes my breath away. And I literally looking at this, I'm like, well, this is not that I'm saying it's magazine worthy, but it's not a magazine. I was there. Holy cow. And there's a lot of digital noise in this, and I couldn't care less because, you know, this is not for winning some contest, and you'll come home with images and you can make your own book and stuff like that. And it's really, really very, very satisfying. It's great to see these 2 years later. I love this kind of light where there's just a kiss of light going through, and I darkened the edges on this, but this is some of my favorite kind of stuff. And it's like, look at those ears.
And you'll notice the landscape is a lot bushy. You know, if you go to Kenya, it's this very vast open spaces, but KwaZulu-Natal, where we are, it's a lot more scrubby. And actually you'll see from Charles's photos too, though, I can tell the ones that were taken in April, it's a lot greener. Versus August, which is their winter, our summer in the US, which is much drier. So I actually love the greener months. I think that it can be harder to see wildlife because of those.
Is that like greener? Is it greener? The greener month. Photographically, this was early morning on a drive, and this is something like ISO 25,600. So I really encourage, you know, if it doesn't matter if you're not submitting it for some contests, it's personal and stuff like that, but that's the ISO I needed to get a fast enough shutter speed with the lens I was using. This is like 25,600, and I didn't use any noise reduction. I just don't care.
Interesting that zebra has a collar on. You don't actually see, don't you see that? I'm not sure why, not at our reserve, but for some monitoring purposes.
Very interesting stripe pattern.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I love this. I feel like this frequently. Yeah.
Now, this is an animal you don't want to accidentally run into on foot. You know, they're very unpredictable and
territorial.
Yeah.
That's kind of like New Yorkers. Sorry.
It's one of my favorites.
Really bad. So here's Lisa doing her thing, and I have a shot, and there's Gail, got her game face on, and I love this photo because it captures a moment of calm and presence, and I dare say Lisa was just, you know, in her element and communing with what was going on around her without getting too hokey. But I also happen to know how important the trip was for Lisa, and it was such a joy having her along. Everybody else too, but just this photo for me captures. And you'll be in vehicles like this. This is 600 millimeters from the other vehicle I was in, obviously. A little bit of landscape, big old elephant. You can see how vast things are. Rhinos, look at that horn.
No, he has his full horn. It has not been dehorned.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And this is just so on a morning drive. This is Heidi. I don't know if she's on or not, but taking portraits like this. This is this lens baby thing. This is a snap, also the lens baby at the Rhino orphanage. It's in a very secret location. And one of the reasons, unfortunately, these babies need to be protected here is because when their parents, sometimes when the parents are poached, left to die, and the babies just sit with the bodies and days and days and days. So they're amazing people who are gathering these babies, feeding them. The idea is to reintroduce them into the wild, not to have them, but it's, and Wild Tomorrow Fund helps support this work as well. This is up close and personal. This I remember specifically, it was 70 millimeters on a full frame. So this is the full frame. We were very close and they're just walking by doing their thing, and it is awesome. That's a proper use of that word. which is so overused. There's a little bit more like that, a little bit of the landscape, which I love. And then one afternoon we were driving and there's a baby rhino and mom or dad, and in and out of some really groovy light. We were very, very close. This is a privilege. This is, my heart was skipping a beat. Just so beautiful. And that's actually, yeah, that's dad or mom. Do you guys know male from female? I don't, you know, my science stuff.
The male won't typically be with the mother and calf. He'll be close, but
so this is probably the female, and this is so mother and child. And then it just stepped into this light, and this is it's awesome, truly. And then it was a little bit of light on the.
Yeah, 2-3 weeks old.
Yep.
Renee, we're looking forward to meeting you. Renee says she's starting to save her pennies now so she can come.
Oh, yay, Renee. You're going to love it. You are going to be like a you-know-what and like a pig in you-know-what, so, which is how I was. And then stepping into a little more light, and then, boom, full frame, this beautiful creature. It's like, wow. So I think the next image is the other treatment of this image, and then I have a series of them. I just went black and white with this. I didn't sepia tone it, but this is back.
Charles, what do you use for that? Is it Lightroom, Photoshop? What do you do?
So I live in Lightroom. I don't have the patience for layers and Photoshop. I'm a simple guy. It confuses me. So I do everything in Lightroom. In my portrait and headshot work that I do, I also use a plugin from On1 for like portrait retouching, keep very realistically, a little smoothing, eye pop, that kind of thing. And teeth whitening.
Is there a free version?
No, there are free, and I'll tell you, I'm just not familiar with them. I can't recommend enough. It's $10 a month, which people balked at when they went to a subscription mode, but you're constantly updated. You get both Lightroom and, if you need, Photoshop, but you also get the whole mobile thing, so that you can use, if you're so inclined, you can process on your phone or on your laptop if you want to use the mobile version on your laptop or on your iPad. It's taken me long enough. My workflow, though, is I'm going to have Lightroom, the desktop, Lightroom Classic, on my desktop. I also have it on my laptop, and what I do is I'm going to do for future trips, create a catalog and have that on an external drive, and then just export the catalog into my home catalog. I like having everything in one place. I have a huge catalog.
And Terry says she can't wait to be there on the ground and photograph us.
Terry, I know Terry for a long time. I cannot wait to see your face, Terry. And I know Jennifer Wild. I can't wait to see her face. Yep. So
many of us have been stuck, or like everybody's been stuck at home and unable to travel. And, you know, this is travel with a difference. You're traveling for a reason, and it's, traveling to make an impact and help conservation. So this is some of that carbon. The long flight to South Africa.
It's worth it, though. It's worth it. So this is some beautiful light these guys were in, and at some point I switch over, and then I just started. So we were I forget. We were with these rhinos for about half an hour or 40 minutes. They were at a distance, and they started walking, and we were driving in that direction. And the drivers obviously keep it very respectful. They know what they're doing and mindful. Nobody's getting out of a vehicle. Everybody's like, shut the hell up. And, and we literally sat with this whole bunch of rhinos. What's the word for
a crash? A crash of rhinos.
A crash of rhinos. And then one of them, this is the baby, I think, that everybody's looking out for, just started walking up real close. This is 70 millimeters. It's amazing to be this close to such a magnificent creature, and all the more reason that raising the money and keeping them safe and all of that. And
South Africa is home to 80% of the world's last rhinos. So if you want to see rhino, South Africa is the place. And particularly because of COVID, really devastated the budgets of reserves that are keeping them safe. They lost all that tourism guest revenue that kept the rangers on staff and the rhinos defended. So they are really desperate for groups to come back. It's actually really important for people to be able to
That's it,
talk.
right? Yep. Photograph.
My favorite so far.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I might actually darken this. I just, for the presentation, kind of did this treatment for these, and this was just, and they're just walking right in front of us. It was really, really beautiful. But
we have only 5 minutes left. And
oh, we do. Okay, so let me. So that's there. That's the end of the rhinos, right? Rhino butts, and then we had a couple of giraffes, and that was me again being happy.
Just to say, our reserve, so Wild Tomorrow Fund's reserve that we're restoring and rewilding, you can actually walk on foot because we haven't dropped fences yet, so we don't have the rhinos there yet, the elephants that are going to stomp on you maybe. So you can walk on foot and get close, you know, in a safe distance from giraffe and zebra, which is a really different experience to most safari or photographic safari, i.e. you can get off the safari vehicle. And it's really nice to stand there, you know, sunset, having a drink and just looking at the giraffe, and you're on foot in a wildlife reserve.
Yeah, I'm going to just run through the second school. A reminder, hopefully what we're here for is to provide lunches. Do we have to shut off at exactly 8:30, or if people are we? Yeah. I'm going to run through real quick because I want to finish on the kids thing, and boom. And this actually shows the old school, right? Which you guys built a new one. I'm just going to run through these. Oh, these need to render. And this is different light, and these kids just take your breath away. And so we were at the doorway. This is a technique, Duncan, if you're just out of the direct sun, but it's bouncing, the light's bouncing around, didn't need a reflector or anything. And one of the things, so that's the situation we were in. If you look down here, the light's about to creep in, but this was still giving us the results you were seeing.
Beautiful.
What I was going to say, but just going through. So, yeah, oh, good, it rendered. And one of the other great things, and this I actually warmed up a little bit, played with it. I love this look and this whole feel of all these beautiful faces, and the light was actually bouncing around inside. And this gal is one of my favorites. Should be one of my favorite images. So this I worked on, and it may be too crunchy and contrasty for people, but one of my favorite images I've ever taken, the essence of caregiving. And let's finish through here. And because we photographed her, there's one more of her outside like this. That's with a reflector and a little bit of contrast and stuff added, but not much. And that's exposing for the subject and like that. Oh, this is the thing I want to mention. One of the other great things, if you come on a trip, everybody, you can actually fill a suitcase with things, the most basic things they appreciate. And this is, yeah, this is all into my stuff here. This is me being really fucking happy. And it's an appropriate way to end like that. And being grateful for a sense of purpose and having a skill that will help people and inspire people, hopefully. I just want to say one thing. I know I've probably been a little bit pushy about people donating, but I want to inspire people. I know not everybody has money. And if you don't have money, go to wildtomorrowfund.org and sign up for their newsletter. Go to my website and go ahead in my contact area, send me a message, and I'll send you, I don't have my newsletter sign up thing, but message me, put Wild Tomorrow Fund in the subject and sign up for my newsletter. I'll be announcing this stuff also when I do small workshops in town like that. But follow us, follow them. You don't have to spend money, and help spread the word, because you never know what's going to have a repercussion a year from now or 5 years from now. Okay.
I'm going to show a little video of the kids and the school lunch program. Like, it's very short, and then we can say bye. Hold on a second.
Cool. Thank you.
So that's what we're here. Well, this is Charles's big goal, and he's such a great friend of ours personally and of Wild Tomorrow Fund, and I really hope we can get there. I love that he's trying so hard to raise the money for these kids, because I know what it'll mean to him to be able to say I raised that money, you know, and to make this happen and feed 70 kids for an entire year. So
Thank you,
let's
Charles.
get there. And thank you so much.
And we'll leave the GoFundMe up for a bit, right?
Yes.
And we can keep sharing it. And anybody who's been inspired, please feel free to share it with your friends if it's not, you know, it doesn't feel too pushy. And you're welcome, Dan. Yeah, wash your hands. Okay, cool.
Well, so thanks, Charles, for hosting this tonight and for making this happen, and for everything, and for your passion and purpose, and for your commitment to our organization. And we love you. And
Lovely to see everybody join as well.
yeah, I mean, so great from all around the world, which is super amazing. So yeah, we'll say good night. We'll have a great day in Australia. Good night in New York. And we'll play a little video of our birds while we say goodbye. Thank you, Charles. Thanks, everyone. See you, Bonga.
See you, Bonga.